Welcome to the War Room, a weekly roundtable discussion that takes place every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in at 911warroom.com/Zoom.
Hey everybody, welcome. We are 5:01, December 12th, Sunday, December 12th for the War Room. Light crew starting, that's all good. War Room agenda items. So we're going to try to keep this succinct this time. Keep getting better at this. Let me bring this up and share my screen. Screen 2. Hopefully it doesn't crash on you guys.
So good.
All right. So first thing we'll talk about is news and current events. It's for everybody to chime in with just news and current events. Dave Schlesinger was supposed to come in and talk about nonviolent activism last week. We're going to make room for him this week. 10 minutes on that. Sandra wants to talk about what not to do when proposing action items. David wanted to actually talk about another thing, physicsdenial.com, so we'll see how that goes. I wanted to talk about this 9/11 public directory and Richard Gage's community hub a little bit. And we were going to have, I've got a confirmation, just not today. Fran Shore, Marty Hopper, Robert Griffin, and Dorothy Lorig. You all may know of them from the Experts Speak Out video with Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. They've all decided to come in and have a discussion roundtable. And I've asked them to speak on the psychology of making facts matter and winning public opinion. Basically, we've gotten to this point where it seems like the activism and advocates have hit a stump and trying to talk to people, call it cognitive dissonance or what, but how do we break through this thing? So we'll look forward to that. It looks like it's going to push to after, I think January 9th. And obviously it's a huge topic, but I would just like to hear it from the psychologists, how they would think, and it'd be an interesting conversation.
Well, it's going to be about how to reach the people outside the bubble, but it's also going to be, we think we want to address the apathy itself in the truth movement and how to reach people inside the bubble and get them involved in actually doing stuff instead of just talking.
Hey, Sandra. If you would, I know you'd probably know a heck of a lot more than I do about the action group that Mr. Gage is putting together.
Mm-hmm. Could
you tell us a little about that?
I could, not right now, I won't.
Okay.
It's a very bizarre situation where Richard now wants to do the very thing that Jean has been working on intensely for the last year and talking about for the last 5 years. And Jean finally got the ball rolling on it after a couple of failed attempts that were out of his control. And now Richard approached me to help him build his thing. And as it evolved and turned out, it seems to be, it's morphing into a copy paste of everything that Jean has already set up. So we're trying to navigate those waters anyways, we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So does anybody have any other agenda items that they would like to add to this list? Diana, nice to see you. Sean, thanks for joining. Cayle, good to see you. Rose. So this is it looks like it might be even shorter because David's not here yet. So it's just gonna be me and Sandra speaking, and then if anybody has anything else they'd like to talk about, the floor is open.
I do, but I'm trying to gauge when it's a good time to talk about it.
Understood.
I could say something.
All right, so we're taking agenda items right now, and we'll get to everybody in the order later on. But what would you like to talk about, Diana? Good to
I
see
can
you.
talk about what's, hi, how are you? I can talk about what's going on in Spain, as far as I know, a little bit, as far as protests and stuff like that.
Okay.
But 9/11 related or?
No, it's, they're having protests about do you talk about things other than 9/11? Do you talk about the pandemic also?
Not really. We try to keep it focused on 9/11. Although, if you could give us a quick little 2-minute recap or something, that'd be interesting.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
well, yeah, okay.
Gene?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a minor thing. Our Boston Tea Party at the Old North Church on the 16th is now a Zoom. They're not doing it and having a meeting down there. So anybody that had heard me last week talk about going down there, there will be no tea party, but it will be on Zoom. So I don't know what that's going to be like. Anyway, just an
Okay.
FYI. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That is news and current events. Thank you for that, Al. Whoever iPhone is that joined, and Kurt, thanks for joining. He's on the road. He is a trucker and he is all over the place. Anyone else? Agenda items?
Well, I could mention about what we're doing in Miami, unless you already talked about that ever.
No, that'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
I thought you were DC.
Was before, but I moved
Ah,
here right when the pandemic started.
interesting.
Coincidentally, not on purpose even. It was weird. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start off news and current events. Al already started us off with that message. I looked on News Lookup. There's nothing in the general news for 9/11 Truth as far as new news items in the mainstream. I guess lesser than that, we have Richard Gage did a couple interviews. Tom Sullivan, explosives demolition expert, was there. That was a good interview. And forgetting the last one. Well, yeah, I can't remember the last one. Anyone else for news and current events that they're aware of? Something that's should be brought to our attention recently. Okay. Dave Schlesinger is. Oh, go ahead, Al.
Any news from the Lawyers Committee? I don't know if anybody's been in touch with them and further about the cover letter and the.
So I think I included you in the email to Mick Harrison, litigation director for the Lawyers Committee. He did get back to me and said he's just very busy right now. And he hasn't forgotten about it. He's just very busy right now. So for those that don't know, we asked as activists about reaching out for the Lawyers Committee to try to help them find other lawyers. Even created a template cover letter for them. And while he appreciated it, he didn't like the fact that I used it like I made up LC letterhead, and that was a no-no. But he said, thank you for that, but we'll get to it. And we're going to try to get something, they'll get something written up so that we will have a flyer basically to hand out to try to court new lawyers for the Lawyers Committee.
Or even to send us an email to lawyers, just looking up lawyers in your own city and just sending them that letter by email.
Yes.
I tried to say this.
Gene, one last thing, sorry.
Sure.
It's not entirely related, but the Ghislaine Maxwell case, there's a great article by Whitney Webb. And if you want to get an idea of how closely controlled our media is, and that would include 9/11, it's a great read for anybody who's interested. I won't go into detail, but
Where is it?
It's on Facebook, and I've posted it several times. It's a long article that she wrote. It's a little discouraging to think that the tentacles reach so far into the political world, but it kind of gives you an idea of what we're up against.
Mm-hmm.
And it really I think for historical purposes and your own edification, it's definitely worth reading.
All right, I will find that on your timeline, and when I do a recap and email out to everybody, I'll include that. I'll find the link to that actual article and put that in there.
Great.
Thank you for that, Al. JB, you were going to say?
Yeah, getting back to like Mick Harrison and what's going on with LC, I can't say I have my finger on the pulse, but I did hear Mick say twice there's going to be dialogue, or they're going to be able to deliver a speech or a presentation or something, or it was opening dialogue. Hell, I can't remember.
Oral arguments.
Yes,
Yeah.
oral arguments, January 21st, 2022.
Okay, yeah. I was excited to hear that.
So for those that don't know that, for the grand jury petition that is being tried in the Southern District of New York, 2018, it was, let me start over. 60 exhibits for the controlled demolition, World Trade Center 1, 2, and 7 were presented to the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York in April. They amended it. There was actually 57 started, 60 once they amended it. In November 7th of 2018, the U.S. Attorney's Office acknowledged, yes, we will present the 60 exhibits to a grand jury per federal statute 18 U.S.C. 3332. They drug their feet. Now they sued and says, no, you don't have standing. We're not presenting it to the U.S. Attorney or to the grand jury, to which the Lawyers Committee filed a lawsuit, and that drug on at the what's it called, district level, and then it progressed. They appealed it, and now it's at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, fighting for our First Amendment constitutional right to a petition to give this information to a grand jury to hear it, as well as the federal statute. And now oral arguments are being heard for that on January 21st, 2022. There we go. I think I said that right.
Thank you.
So it's limited to the petition for redress. That's what they're arguing then.
That's what they're arguing, yes.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with the actual issue at Clark. It's just as far as anything related to 9/11.
Basically, it's every American's right to be able to present evidence in that district, and they are denying our right to do that. It's a First Amendment constitutional right.
Right.
It's wrong on so many levels. So
Okay.
if
So
this,
nothing regarding 9/11 specifically is being addressed that day. It's just the oral arguments regarding the petition for redress.
yes.
Okay.
And if this is spiked down, then it'll go to the Supreme Court. Next stop, Supreme Court. So very exciting. We'll see.
Yeah, you want to take down your screen share just so I can also see who else is on the call and I can start writing it down? And...
Sure.
I just had another news item. I put a link to, there was a Scottish power station that was controlled demolition, and it looks like the towers, because they go out. I just put it in the chat. So
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody's mentioned that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Can I ask who Sean is on the call?
Sean, you care to introduce yourself? Because everybody else knows them. We know everybody.
Hey, Gene, I met you in New York City there.
Oh, yes. Sean Negley.
Yep.
Right on. Thank you.
Hi, Sean.
Sean made a very interesting comment as we were sitting
Hey,
down.
Gene. Hey, Gene, I prefer not we talk about that because it almost limits
Understood.
our guard. You know what I mean?
Understood. Thank you. I appreciate
realize
that.
that. Yep.
Understood.
Hey, I see somebody else in Florida. Who's that? Mike Zarzano.
Mike Zarzano, yes.
He's in Miami also.
There's a bunch of you guys down there. And
Yeah, you guys are.
Well, I know one of them who was on last week. He told me.
Yeah, Xiola, Rose, also on the call is in. Oh no, sorry,
No.
that's Trina. Never mind.
Claudio's there, Trina's there, Lou's down there,
Bruce Stanley.
Bruce Stanley.
Bruce Stanley was on last week. He told me, but I don't know who these other people you are talking about.
Trina, do you know Trina Maria?
No, I should. I mean, we should know each other. I don't know any of these
You know,
people.
and Marty, Claudio, who does.
Oh, he's in
anything-
Miami?
I'm not sure what city.
He was in New York last time I knew.
Yeah, but he moved to Florida last year.
Oh, wow.
All
So
right.
who's Mike Zarzano?
Mike, why don't you quickly introduce yourself?
He is muted if you don't know that, Mike, you're mute. There you go.
Yeah, there I go. Hey, everyone. Thank you very much. I heard someone talking about Claudio. If I last remembered, I think he was around the Tampa area, but I could be wrong. But I'm just south of Sarasota, Inglewood Beach area, and we're fighting hard down here to bring forth 9/11 truth.
And I think, Mike, you specifically are targeting military, if I understood.
Yes.
If I remember that right?
Yes, that's right. We have been to the base there in Central Command in Tampa, McDill, and we're working with actually some other officers that I really can't let their name be known at this time, but we're hoping to get a spark ignited and get some activity going. So
Excellent.
but the military bases and the officers, they took the oath, and many of these people were finding that once they understand the truth, they get energized and activated, and hopefully over time this will amount to some real traction.
Mm-hmm.
I yield.
Thank you. Welcome, Claudio. We were just talking about all the people in Florida. There's a lot of audience down there now.
Where are you, Claudio, in Florida?
I'm by Tampa.
You are by
And,
Tampa.
yeah, I want to say hello, and I can't be here today. I wanted to be, but the project I was telling Sandra about, I had some chinks, and so I got to troubleshoot, and then I got to work on helping a project for Captain Dan Hanley. But hello, you guys, Diane Costello.
You look
Nice.
different, Claudio. Last time I saw you, you had dark hair, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah,
not the sun. It's not the sun in Florida. Anyway,
So Claudio, you
Yeah.
had chinks or kinks in your project? There's a difference.
Chinks and kinks.
Or chinks or kinks?
Yeah, and video card issues. Oh man,
Jeez.
Anyway, but so I can't be here, you guys, and then I also got to do something for my neighbor.
Okay.
So
Well, thanks for stopping and saying hey then.
yeah. I just wanted to say hello and But anyway, I'll be thinking of you guys, and you guys are doing fantastic. This is a fantastic thing that you guys put together.
And Claudio, we were just mentioning that there's a lot of, there seems to be quite a few of you in Florida. Diana's in Florida. Mike Zarzano, who's on the call, is also in Florida. And you guys, I don't know.
Trina Maria, Lou Welsh, Bruce Stanley.
Yeah, we've gotten together with many. We've had our own events. We hosted Christopher Bolin twice. We did that twice over here in Florida.
When was that?
So-
That was a while ago, right?
That was a while ago. I think we got a video of the first the conference that we had for the first time for the campaign. I did a conference. I was a friggin' nervous wreck, of course. But I did.
Florida is a great place.
Yeah.
Florida is a fantastic place. Everybody should move here. It's amazing.
You guys seem to be
Yeah.
more concentrated in one area than most of us in the rest of the continent. So, reach out to each other and make something happen.
Florida is huge, though. It's
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's like a freaking country over here.
Like a country, yeah.
I know.
If
but
Governor DeSantis continues to fight for freedom like he is, I think everybody might be moving to Florida.
Yeah, right, exactly.
DeSantis, let's not go there.
Okay. All right. Fair
It's
enough.
Jane, it's 5:20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys, I'm just going to pause for 1 second for a little prayer for justice. I do it every day at 5:20. If you're not religious, just chill with me. Just chill for a second.
I'm leaving.
All right, Claudia. Thank you.
Bye, Claudia.
Okay,
Bye,
bye.
guys.
Bye, Claudia.
Lord, we just lift up this issue to you, all these advocates and activists that are fighting for this, that you would just continue to encourage us as we continue to share this truth, that you would soften the hearts and minds of people that we share this with, that would be receptive to hear it. Lord, that you would expose the evil that's preventing this justice from being heard and happening. And we just pray for a prayer of protection again for the Lawyers Committee, Richard Gage, and everyone that's fighting for this. Thank you for these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody. Sandra, you're up for what not to do when proposing action items.
I technically am, but since David Schlesinger is not here, I think that it would make more sense that you would go ahead with your directory.
Okay.
And I would, because it kind of like ties in together. Yours
Mhm.
is about what to do and about what not to do. So, and it's more relevant and it's more impactful than anything I would have to say right now. So.
All right. Long story short, just to give some background. The long story short, and some people don't like how I say this, but for whatever reason, AE didn't want to take care of action groups. For whatever reason, TAP was formed to take care of the action groups and basically the action groups, the grassroots effort. Through those 5 years was the reason I burned a bridge with Andy Steele of Architects and Engineers, just to be able to find a way for us to coordinate with each other, to organize on our own. AE didn't like that because the thought was that when people have the power to talk amongst themselves, they're going to start talking about weird stuff like moon landings and everything else under the sun. So that's one of the reasons why they wanted to kind of keep reign on the action. Well, they didn't want any action groups. And
They said they didn't have the manpower to organize and control action groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the TAP was formed, and I've been working with Tim Mickle, Mike Berger, and now I think Paul Mineau is part of it. And the Quest and Bill Jacoby, I've been on phone calls with Bill Jacoby for hours back in 2016 and 17. Understanding, that was the full understanding, yeah, we need this. And God bless them and God bless TAP, but we just never got there. And now I hear Richard is doing a community hub, which is just basically exactly the idea that I've been fighting for 5 years. And I've invested almost $3,000 up to this point to try to make it happen. And in the last 3 days, some sleepless nights, I got it over the goal line into the touchdown area. And I have a site up called, I think the easiest URL to remember right now is 911public.org. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And the effort here, please don't crash, I hope. The effort here is just to be able to have a place for just a member directory where people can share as little or as much information about themselves. At minimum, we're just asking for your first name, last name, and your email address. It would be nice to have your city and state, or even just your state. That way it could actually be plotted on this this little map that shows you where they're at. So you can see, like, there's a lot of us. We're even around the world. We got, how do I have two people in Pakistan? No, Dan Hanley in Pakistan. We got a guy in Russia. We got a few people in Europe. But in the United States, we have 18 to 20 people in the United States so far. And as you zoom in, you can kind of see, I think you could put your exact address in here, but again, it can be as broad as the state, or even, and get a little more specific, the city. I think I have one or two people in Florida that just wanted to say that they were in Florida. That's cool. But now we could actually see graphically, hey, we got that many people in Florida, and it's listed down here.
Wait, how do you join it?
You would just go to 911public.org and register up on the top.
And you want to show a profile to see what it would look like once they click on it?
In this screen, it just shows everybody's quick little tidbits. But if you click on somebody, let me pick, pick mine because I filled out the entire thing. And it just lists any of the information that you supplied, down to your social media information. I'm actually going to click, if you click on the person, it gives it a little bit more detailed. You can put a background if you want. Again, your locale information. If you wanted to put in your email address and your phone number, you could. Any of your social media information. Then I'm asking for activists. Did you sign the Lawyers Committee petition? Do you donate monthly to LC? Do you sign the AE petition? And do you donate to Richard Gage? I'm a little burnt about AE, so I didn't put if you donated to AE, but you know, if you do, good for you. I tried to donate $100 a month and I was told we don't want your money. So that's where that's at.
What's wrong with these people? I tell you what, I don't think these people. Jesus Christ.
And can I just mention just about what's really important about about this is, even though we all have profiles, well, not all of us, but some of us on social media, you know, they're not safe places to be, because if they shut down our profile, if something happens to the platform itself, then we lose that ability to be in touch with each other. So this is a way to take it off of social media and make sure that we still have a place to gather and find each other and stay connected, even if the other stuff around us crashes and burns.
I mean, I have 2 days left in my 10th 30-day ban on Facebook, which is ridiculous. So like for what, 10 months there, I haven't been able to talk on Facebook. It's a shame that have to use a medium. There's what, 1.2 billion people using it. So it's still the place to be for social media. So I do have like 10 other side accounts, but it still makes it difficult to be able to communicate there. So this way, if anybody disappears off of that specific platform, we could always go here and you can connect with your friends. And this is where the power is, the next part that I'm going to get to right now, because I've made this filterable and sortable. Let me explain where there's power in this. So I also ask a bunch of questions on what are your interests, specifically your areas of action and your area of interest. And we could add more if we want, but I just want to try to keep it basic. So interests, online activism, basically everything, social media, meme making, visiting poll websites or commenting on articles, anything's digital. Street activism, I don't think it needs any explanation, but everything out on the street. Artistic, this is whether you'd be interested in anything like theater or drama or music or actual media art or anything for 9/11 that you have talents or skills in. Want to know about that. Written outreach. Are you somebody that likes to write articles? Are you into email and letter writing? That kind of avenue. And then fundraising and event organizing. And then we get into like the specific areas. Are you interested in World Trade Center, Pentagon? I really, the answers, I've changed it and I got to update this. It's either yes, or the other option is little to none. Because when you say no, I'm not interested in it completely. Now, I am interested in the Pentagon, but it's little to none. My main focus is the World Trade Center legal action. And I think Ed and I would probably select the complete opposite of those answers.
Well, you know, what's funny there is that I wouldn't even put those categories in there, because 9/11 is 9/11. You have to go where it takes you.
I hear you.
And I don't like geopolitics, and I don't like these labels because they box you in a particular place, then you fight for it.
But here's the reason. Here's the reason, and that's why I said here's the power in this. So just having these or other ones or relabel these or what, I can't really relabel them because it's already in the database, but the power is if I go back to the member list. Right now there's 32 people. You can add a filter and say, okay, I want everybody in the United States who is interested in fundraising, and right there, I've got a list of 6 people that either have skills or interest in fundraising. Al, David, Steve, Michael, Pat, and myself. That way you could concentrate on it. If you're maybe, we take off fundraising, you just want to find everybody that's interested in the Pentagon. So if you wanted to have conversations specific to the Pentagon, or you found some new information, or you wanted to hash out an old idea, you could connect with these specific people and then talk about it. That's where I think this is powerful. Or
But what happens when, like, so for example, you know, the thing, it looks like you're creating your own echo chamber. That's what it looks like there. And
this isn't like Facebook.
but
this is used for activism. So
here's what I'm saying though. If you say something like who's interested in the Pentagon, it's like I would word it. I would look at those areas of expertise, areas of knowledge,
yes,
rather
that's what I
than
meant.
areas of interest, because then it's like, oh, I'm not, you know, you could know a lot about the World Trade Center, but you may find yourself not interested in it because you might find something else more relevant. And
so if I
it's
said
like your
interests or expertise in,
But don't you think it kind of goes hand in hand, Ed? I mean, if, you
it
know,
all goes hand in hand. That's the whole point. It's
I
like
mean,
when you
if-
start, yeah. It's like I don't want to. One of the worst things I think the truth movement has done is create these categories of areas of like, oh well, the Pentagon, World Trade Center. It's all related. It's all important. You know, when you're doing an investigation, you don't throw out some of the data and then only look at some. You look at it all, and there's one big overarching picture. And then you start, but I don't like it when people start I'm not saying anything bad about you, Jim. I think it's just fantastic. I'm just trying to give you some good constructive criticism here. And but I think it's important that because of that 90-some% that we don't know about with respect to 9/11, it's important that we keep ourselves open and and to new information. And I don't know how we're going to communicate new information to other people within these other categories that aren't in this category. You know, it's
so
like
this
that might
isn't,
be relevant to it.
it's
This
not about
isn't-
communicating
hang on.
information.
this isn't like creating a Facebook group where we're just talking
Right.
about the Pentagon. This is a way to find out who the specialists are discussing it or who are most interested in it. That way, if you wanted to connect with the people, maybe you wanted to connect with the people in your area that are, you know, on that you could actually go and sit and have a coffee and talk about it.
Like a LinkedIn profile.
What's that?
Like a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So
I
here,
can see the
like-
value. I can see the value in that. I just when I first see it, I'm
And it
like,
would be like as if I'm interested in geopolitics and I don't know much about it, I would scan this list to see who can I go to who listed this as an area of theirs, so that maybe I could get more information or connect with that person to just become more knowledgeable. I mean,
right.
I think
And
it's safe to say that
yeah.
we're all in 9/11 for the big picture. I mean, that goes without saying. None of us are in there to say, I'm only focusing on this and nothing else.
Oh, I can name a lot of people who are doing that. So, you know, I can name tons of people who are doing that.
Let's say, for
but
example,
I,
let's say, for example, that Diana was really interested in street activism, wanted to find out who in Florida is involved in street activism. She comes in here, state Florida, you go to street activism, type yes. Okay,
Right.
none of them are interested in street activism, so she's going to be out there by herself. But
right. See that the left side of the column, I totally get and understand. It was the right side of the column that
I
for the
got you.
categories
Okay.
I have an issue with. You know, and I can see I can see how you take that and make it something of value based on what Sandra just mentioned there.
But taking the example that Jean just gave, if Diana went looking for street activists in Florida and didn't find any, but she found 5 activists in Florida, that wouldn't stop her from reaching out and saying, listen, I know that, you know, street activism isn't necessarily your thing, but I'm organizing something. Would you give me a hand with it? Would you
Sure.
like to get involved? You know, it's not limiting in that sense. It's just kind of narrowed down if you're looking for something specific, but you can always go outside of that.
I
Jane,
do hear what Ed's trying to say about echo chambers, but I think that's exclusive to to platforms like
Discussions.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I guess I worry more about the optics of it, and I think there's a psychological aspect to seeing that.
Think of it
Okay.
as a directory phone book for businesses. You're trying to
Well,
find
I get the idea. I understand the idea. I'm not, I get all that. I'm just worried again about, I'm worried about how the optics are going to be looked at there, how it's really going to be used, and how
Okay.
it's really going to be viewed. Because the moment you put a category of geopolitics and ask somebody if they're interested in it, it's like most people are going to say no because it's too hard.
Right. Well, if I had a geopolitical question and I wanted to ask somebody, it would be nice to know who the specialists,
Sure.
if you will, are about it. So,
Mhm.
so if I go in there and it pulls up you and Adam Fitzgerald, oh, cool. All right, I'll email one of these two guys if they brought their emails
Right.
in here.
Yeah.
Well, how can somebody be interested in 9/11 and not be interested in geopolitics?
Oh, it's possible. Trust me.
Oh yeah,
It's very
it's not one of
possible.
my strong points, and I like to learn about it. But when Adam comes in, and God bless him, when he shares these names, and they're just like, I can't even keep track of the names, let alone some of the concepts. And it's like, wow, it gets deep, and it's, some people aren't into that. Some people aren't into the technical aspects that Richard Gage gets into. It just, their eyes glaze over and they're not into it at all. Some people aren't interested in legal aspects. It's just, whatever you're interested in. Which
I
by
don't know. It just bugs me. It's like, it's not like you're either in it or you're not. It's like, it's just weird to me.
right.
It's like, I like that. It just blows my mind. It's like, I don't know. It's just weird.
There were actually other questions there, and I don't know why they didn't show up.
Gene, Al's had his hand up for a while.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, and there was anthrax.
Oh.
Yeah, so Jane, when I filled that out, I thought, I was interested in all of it, and I didn't know if it required me to be an expert on anything. So, and then I'm not, but,
Right.
I'd be open to anybody contacting me.
Yes.
So I don't know if that was the intent of the questionnaire, or whether we were supposed to be experts at certain fields.
No, it's just interest, but Ed brought up a good point that it should be about people that are either interested in it or would consider themselves an expert in that topic.
But it doesn't matter. If you pull up anybody who has an interest in it, you can always connect with all of them and say, listen, I'm looking specifically for this.
Mhm.
Is there one of you among those who listed this that can help me with this particular aspect or angle or question?
Yep. Paul, you had your hand up.
Yeah, do we have to use our real names, or can this be like Reddit and we can actually use an alias instead?
You can use whatever you want. I just eventually, the way that I foresaw this 5 years ago was to be able to have the power of adding on some things like add in pre-written letters so that folks visiting could check out the pre-written letter and alter it whatever they want, and then click send, and it would automatically send it to your representatives, things like that. So there wouldn't be any real value if we were making up fake names, but right now at this point, if you want to do that, that's fine. Just
well, just my publicly displayed name, I would want to use an alias. I'm not comfortable with having my Google search results having, a lot of my 9/11 activity, so it could hurt my career. So, you know what I mean? A lot of people are in that boat. We can't afford it. We don't want to come up in the search results as 9/11 truth activists and, all that. We want to come up as our, our career, we want that because employers are going to be searching for us. And that's why I kind of like to keep my work. I am on Facebook. I'm pretty loud about it, but I like Reddit instead, because you can kind of keep your, your kind of user identity anonymous, but people can still message you. And when people get to know you, they can know like, oh yeah, that's your, that's who Paul is, Then I always go by Trash Man, by the way. So if you ever see Trash Man on here, you know who that is.
So I have two thoughts on that. The side that empathizes with you, and then the INTJ side of me. One, I could see, I think I said this before, I a lot of street activism, and down in Pittsburgh, at Carnegie Mellon and Pitt, I had a lady say, look, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I would like to join and help, but I'm about months away from collecting on my pension, and I just cannot risk that. Understood that completely. I said, God bless you, ma'am. And she went along her way. The other aspect, the difficult side of me is that I said this before, 3,000 people were blown up that day. More than that have died from cancers. We've got endless wars and millions of people around the world are dying, and we're afraid to share our information. On that note, I mean, I sent a lot of emails to AE or copied AE as I was emailing people at NIST, and I got a cease and desist letter from AE. And it kind of bugged me in the response saying it was unprofessional, and even one of the board members' co-workers got the email. And I'm thinking, if that board member's co-workers doesn't know that they're involved in 9/11, that board member needs to resign as a board member. Like, this is that important. And if you're trying to keep that secret, or if that's going to impact your work as a board member, it kind of offends me in a way. So I hear you and I do empathize, but I really am looking for people to step up here, because this is a tragedy that's gone on far too long. And until we all just finally say enough is enough and we stand up, we need to be.
I'm lucky that my name is very popular, so there's a million Diana Castillo, so they can't really.
Yeah, and if I can weigh in quickly, my name is not very popular. There's 2 Jelmies in all of Canada. That's my sister and me. So I'm very, very easy to find. And I just personally have to underline the thing that bugs me, and I understand everybody has a reason for using a fake name, so be it. But we are in the 9/11 truth movement. And when you can't even use your own name to stand up for truth, there's a part of me that just it rails against everything that I find is authentic about standing up for the truth movement. So I'm with Jean. I have partial sympathy for and understanding for people who don't want to go there, but in the grand scheme
just
of
to be
things,
clear, just to be clear, I don't want my I would publish my name with any research, you know, and I would publish my name like, hey, I'm Paul Mineau, if that's assigned with like academic research that I've done. And I just can't find people in the movement to do it with me. And I have all these great projects and stuff, but just, you know,
That's ironic.
Yeah, it's ironic.
So
I can't find
ironic.
people to help me publish, and I want to publish, and that's the way I want to be found. I don't want to be found with my guerrilla activity. You know what I mean? That's a flip side of the kind of like stuff. I don't want to like employers to see like, hey, I'm like stickering places, and you know,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
yes and no. I mean, I understand intellectually. I really, my Facebook profile is public. Anybody who's not friends with me can see exactly what I post. Career-wise, you know, if this is a stumbling block, then so be it. If they don't want to bring me on into their company because they have trouble with this, well, this is part of who I am. And that's just it. I make no apologies for it. I will not compromise on that. And you either take me as I am, or you don't hire me. And there's no career that I can think of that matters as much to me as getting to the truth about 9/11.
Two hands. I got Kurt and then JB. Kurt, go ahead. Curtis.
Yeah, hold on. You guys are trying to bring new people in, but you're saying, I don't know, man. You got to work both sides of the coin. You want to bring new people into this. People have a lot more stuff to protect than maybe you do. You know, maybe they have 20 or 30 years invested into a retirement or whatever, and it's not worth throwing that away. I mean, you've worked your whole entire life for that. I mean, I think you guys might need to look at a way of working both sides of the coin. That's all.
Well, that's why you can have a fake name.
Yeah. No, nobody's stopping anyone from doing it. We don't even control that. I mean, it's not like we're asking for birth certificates or anything.
You have to put your COVID card.
Or vaccination cards, yeah.
QR code.
So yeah, after all that said, go ahead and use a fake name and all good. JB, you were next, and then Diana.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to throw in on the side, I have a split personality, so you know how it shows up on that viewer, I don't know.
Okay. Thank you. Diana, you're up.
Yeah, I've added my name, but I don't see myself on the map anymore yet. So I'm there as a member, but it doesn't show up under Miami.
Let's see here. Huh. Oh, there you are. Let me see what happened. Because I'm admin, I have this ability, so forgive me. It's Miami Beach. There we go.
Right. Yeah.
That'll do it. And check. And now all of a sudden, let's go back to the members. And you should be here now. Wait, where's Miami? Did it
Miami's
update?
at the tip of Florida.
Huh. I don't know why.
Oh, maybe because I put Miami, but my zip code is 33139, which is Miami Beach. Does that
Let me
happen?
try that. Copy, click in here, paste. That should do it. Check. Go back to members. Maybe it takes a second to refresh. We'll check back.
I don't want my street address to show.
Yeah, I dig it. I understand.
Can I take that away now? I'm gonna delete that.
We'll give it maybe the database takes a little bit to update. It should have been.
Oh, maybe I didn't click the map location. Do I have to do that?
No.
No.
If you just hit enter after you type whatever you type in that field, it should pop in. I'll figure that out.
Oh,
later.
it says 911 wants to know your location. I have to say allow. I didn't have that on. Okay. My Mac had preferences for location off. Okay, I'll turn it on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's where that's at. And if Richard Gage, he's going to continue on with the Community Hub project, since this is a public list and he's making a public list, people have already said, oh, it's okay for my information to be available publicly. So Richard and I would be basically swapping some of the information, and it shouldn't be a problem with anybody because you've already said you don't mind your information being held out publicly. So it's all in an effort just to try to coordinate. Again, at the rudimentary level, it's just for us to be able to look. I mean, this is promising to me. With only 33 people and to see how scattered we here on the East Coast, I love that. That's awesome. To see a couple hundred people in here, that would just be amazing. And I think it would grow. People just would feel more encouraged. I talked to Sandra about this before. I don't know if anyone's seen this video, and it's how to start an action group or how to start a movement. And in the video it shows one guy dancing wildly on a hillside. And next thing you know, there's a second guy that joins in. And the guy narrating, it was a TED Talk. And he says, the first guy wasn't actually the most important guy here. It was the second guy, because it took a lot of, excuse my language, it took a lot of balls for him to get over there and stand with this crazy guy dancing. So now two people are dancing, and then a third and a fourth and a fifth. And now all of a sudden people think, oh, now it's safe to be over there. Now I feel like I can be part of that group. And then the avalanche happens. And next thing you know, there's 100 people dancing on the hillside. So it just takes a few to stand up first. And I think we'll get some response here. So that's all I had to say about that. Thank you guys for listening.
And it would be great if you guys can think of other people who are maybe not aware and who might want to be part of this, to send them the link and ask them to join. And there's no commitment at all. It's just to stand up and be counted and say, I'm right here. You can find me here. You can reach out to me here. If somebody contacts me with an idea, I have the choice to be on board with it or not and get involved or not. It gives you the ability to reach out to others. If you hear about a conference, let's say that's happening in another city, where you think it might be interesting to have activists with boots on the ground activists at an engineering conference that's happening in, Minneapolis or anywhere, then you could reach out to those people and say, hey, were you aware that this is happening? And maybe there's some of you who want to show up there with your flyers and intercept the engineers as they're walking out of the conference.
Mhm.
So it's just a great communication tool based on the information that's available. And
It's even for traveling, because when you're traveling to somewhere and you don't know anybody, or you know a few people, 9/11 truthers are going to be like-minded. So, you'll have.
Right. Send them an email. Can I crash at your house?
No.
One other thing I'd like to say about. Go ahead.
Can you put the link in the chat?
Sure.
The site?
Yeah. Give me a second. I'll do that. One other thing I want to say is I did say that I had been in conversation with Bill Jacoby from 2016 on this. And it's really funny that recently we were on a separate call, and I'm paraphrasing here because I can't remember exactly how the conversation went, but it got to a point where Bill really liked the idea when we went to the second iteration of this. And he started talking about, well, if we have all this information up on the website, what's to say these people aren't going to get together? And then I guess he was reiterating before, what are they going to talk about? Like, we can't control what they're speaking. And he kind of hemmed and hawed about it. And I said, hey, Bill, isn't this exactly what AE 9/11 Truth told you when you were starting TAP? And he just laughed. And I thought that was priceless, that they understand that you can't control the people at a certain level. They're going to do what they're going to do. If you try to control the 9/11 movement in the way they think and what they're saying, it's never going to work. It's never, especially when we're so divisive on things like the Pentagon and whatnot. It's just, you gotta let go of the reins a little bit and let people just be people, and trust that they're the good's going to come out of it. So,
yeah, Richard has an expression for that. He says trying to do that is like trying to herd cats.
Yep. That's what I say about organizing a construction site. Yeah, that's it. All right. David Schlesinger never came in. That's odd.
That's strange, eh? Yeah.
I've actually heard it catch before, by the way. A true story, for a Petco commercial.
Really?
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah, worked on several Petco spots, and we actually had a bunch of cats we had to herd and put in a outside parking lot and make them stay perfectly still. It didn't work, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah.
Who thought it would?
Well, if anybody's going to do it, it was going to be that director, because he's great with working with animals. But this one, it just did not go off the way. I think he got each cat to stay in the spot for a duration, and then he composited them all together and was able to do it that way. But
okay.
Let's go to Diana. If you'd like to give us a little recap on the Spain protests and what's going on in Miami.
Okay. Well, I was really impressed. They had a big protest in Madrid just yesterday, and I saw a video of it. It was a 3-hour video, and it's just thousands of people. I don't know the official count or the even unofficial count, but just thousands of people were there. They had judges, they had lawyers, they had medical professionals, and they were all really against these. Actually, I found out that 80% of the people in Spain are vaccinated, even though it's not mandatory. It is only mandatory for entrance to like pubs in 2 provinces in Spain. So it's not really mandatory in most places yet. 80% are vaccinated, but there's still the 20% that are not. And a lot of them were on the street yesterday. And but the weird thing is I have to probably get another video, but the video I had was 3 hours and was taken off YouTube mysteriously. So they don't want anybody to see what's going on, But I think there's a lot of passion there. And all the people that were in my 9/11 Truth group in Madrid are now involved in that, in the protests against the vaccination.
Diana?
Yes.
Because you were like the main coordinator of the 9/11 Spain Truth Group.
Yeah.
What was it called again?
Investigaron CS. Our website's down. Our website's down, by the way.
Is it? Okay.
It just went down. Yeah.
But does the group? I know, because you were living there at the time, right?
Yeah.
And is it still active in any way? Do you have?
No. When I left, because I was like the one that made everybody go. Everybody else is very disorganized, but we still have a blog. We still have a chat that we talk to each other. And so I know that they're, from talking to them, that they're out there protesting now about the vaccine. So they've gotten active again now because of this. They stopped being active for a while.
But do they still do anything on a 9/11 level?
No, I just sent them a link, so maybe some of them will join the map. Because they're all still interested in it, but they're not organizing anything.
All right.
What I find interesting in what you shared there was for the vaccine stuff. You said they had the people were there, they had lawyers there, they had doctors there, and we're the 9/11 Truth Movement, and we've never had a protest where the lawyers are there and the scientists are there. And
the COVID is a great wake up, and it's a lot. I've gone to huge meetings with tons of people that are waking up to the lies of the establishment, and 9/11 didn't do that, but COVID is waking a lot more people up. So I think they tie into each other. We should be happy that more people are waking up, because people that are awake about COVID are much more likely to listen about 9/11. And vice versa.
For your benefit, things that we've talked about in the past, there's definitely a clear division in the 9/11 Truth Movement on whether to be purists or whether to build the bridge. And there are a bunch of people that just want to stay true to just 9/11, like the board of AE 9/11 Truth. They want to stay pure with it. That's why they kicked Richard out. But yeah, I can see the pros and the cons of each side. So to each their own is what I say. But
yeah, our Washington groups was split because of that. We had DC. I mean, I still meet with the DC people because I still go up there once a month to see my mom. So I meet with them occasionally and I talk to them often. And we split. Half the people did not want to talk about the COVID thing. They actually believed the COVID scam. They thought it was, something that was really scary. And now they're becoming anti-vax, but they didn't want to combine the two things. So we just split into two groups. They wanted to take the name and we didn't let them. So we kept the name.
Oh.
They wanted to take the website and everything.
So who's in charge of the Washington group? Is it you?
There's a bunch of people. There's Sheila. I think Sheila comes on here now sometimes, right? Sheila Casey?
Oh.
John never comes on this, no.
Oh, no. Does she know about it?
I don't know. Well, reach out to her.
Yeah, reach out to her. And also John, actually I can forward the email that I got for this, because I found out about this from Bruce Stanley. I didn't know about it either. But yeah, I'll tell them out to come. John O'Malley has meetings. Yeah. Khalid, remember Khalid Rosenbaum? Do you know him? Mm-hmm. He started it. He was one of the originals. That's the people that are on our side. Then there on the other side is oh God, I forgot. I'm sorry, my name. Her name is lost me, but she was one of the original leaders. So there's people on both sides, but it's not like we hate each other. We're just they don't want to talk about it.
I'll come to you, Cayle, in a second. Real quick, I want to ask Al, because Al's a part of another really large 9/11 group, the Boston 9/11 group. Al, how have you seen the division in your group about that topic of whether to approach inclusively or just stay pure?
Well, our group, as it is right now, what's left of it is the purists, and then a lot went off to COVID. Some of them come back to our meetings, but it was very clear that we were only going to be talking about 9/11, and we weren't including COVID as part of the action items, or we have the second hour, which is open to conversations about almost anything, but basically, we have a lot of work, and I really get disappointed when I hear people say that, that COVID is going to help the 9/11 Truth Movement, because we're at a point, and I've said this before, so I'm repeating myself, but we have so much going for us right now, and to abandon 9/11 Truth. I mean, I think the Lawyers Committee, what Richard Gage does, there are so many things that are happening in the 9/11 movement that just because it's old hat to us, there's zillions of people out there that know nothing, and that's where our work should be focused on. And so anyway, I get very emotional.
I don't
about
think
it.
we should get abandoned at all. I'm just saying.
Well,
that
I don't,
people
I think
should-
it dilutes our message. Let's put, I'm much more in favor of having going off for those who want to be involved in the COVID story, fine, do it. But don't come to a 9/11 meeting and start talking about COVID. I mean, that to me is really at counter purposes to what we do. So I don't want to get into an argument.
Yeah, you would
I
be
feel-
on the
I
other
feel
half
very
of our group.
strongly about it, as you can tell.
So yeah, there are the two views, and I thank you both. I want to go to Cayle real quick, and then
Wait,
we'll
can I
come
talk
back
about
to you.
Miami real quick?
Yep, we'll come right back to you about that. I want to see if Cayle had a question for you. Go ahead.
Diane, I want to commend you for what you're doing. Right now, we can seize the moment with COVID and what's going on. Out here, we're street activists. We have 9/11 Truth Hawaii, but we're more street activists. We get out there, me and my family and my children, because their future, right? And now they want to pump us full of chemicals, but we're not going to get into that. But right
Thank
now,
you.
like you're saying, we will seize the moment because people's minds are opening up with this pandemic. And I commend you for doing that, for taking that and into the parents and the families that are trying to rise up for their children and their rights for their own body. This is our own body. This is our temple and access to it. But
Thank you for that, Cayle. Again, I see.
People's minds are opening up, especially our youth. We see a lot of youth out here and next generation standing up to their own government because they're losing their freedoms left and right from this COVID event. And now their brains are opening up to 9/11 and wars and, are these wars illegal? It all comes together. So thank you, Diana.
Sean, I'm just curious, and you don't have to answer this, but can I ask how old you are?
I just turned 37.
You're 37, okay, because you do seem to be of a traditionally younger group of people, and we've said often that we need to we need the next generation. Sorry?
I said as long as you don't call me a millennial.
No, don't worry. But it's
I'm right
honestly,
at the cusp.
But look around. We're all in our, I think, most of us in our 50s or at least in our 40s. And it's, this is the thing. We feel like it's important to start reaching out to, the people that are coming after us. Because
I think Bruce is in his 30s, Bruce Stanley. And I just noticed he just joined.
Right, he did. Yeah, he joined us last week for the first time.
I think he's in his 30s.
Mike, if your question is for Diana, what she's talking about, go for it. If not, hold on to that, and because I want to finish her up, and then we'll go on. So, Mike, was your question relative to Diana? You're muted, Mike. Oops.
No, I just wanted to kind of dovetail on Sean's comments.
Let me come back to you right after Diana is done here. We want to get an update on Miami's activism.
Okay.
So go ahead, continue, Diana.
Yeah, now that I see Bruce here, I don't know if he spoke about it last week. Did he talk about it last week?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, we had on 9/11, we had an event. It wasn't that well attended, but we did get some press, not positive press. So we think we got into some press. Some news is better than none. And Bruce gave an excellent presentation about 9/11. Unfortunately, the video of it did not work out very well, but it was really good and it's worth repeating. And we also participated in a protest that they had for peace. So we had a lot of people with signs. So small steps, and we do have some people that are, getting out some information, but it's small steps, but at least we're doing something.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Back to you, Mike. What was the question, or how did you want to dovetail off of Sean?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that with the COVID crime, the scamdemic, plandemic, however you want to describe it, along with the election crime, the environment right now is very ripe for people to believe in such a great conspiracy such as 9/11. And it's not a theory, it's a fact, as we all know. But this climate that we're in right now, with this massive disturbance of COVID and within the Republican political arena about the election, for the first time in a long time, I am finding more and more people that are willing to discuss, entertain, and believe the 9/11 truth that we all know. And I have even been able to give presentations to Republican Tea Party groups where before, 3 or 4 years ago, they would boo me out of the room if I dared talk about a 9/11 conspiracy or an inside job. So the barrier is being torn down. The barrier of unbelief and conspiracy theory is being torn down by the fact of the COVID scamdemic and the election crime. So I think we do need to be careful, as the one gentleman talked about, regarding, you don't want to go to a 9/11 meeting and start talking about COVID, nor the election. But somehow, some way, we need to find the synergy among all three of these crimes and somehow let them organically help each other. I think that's a very strong possibility, if not even a likelihood, that will naturally occur. So I yield. That's all. Thank you.
Hey, this is JB in Atlanta. Has anyone heard, maybe Sandra or Gene, RFK Jr., who I think a lot of us are, down with what he does with the vaccines and such. Sandra, would you or Gene know anything about he starting up a truth action group or some type of action group?
I think he's building chapters in various cities, from what I understood, to in line with his children's health defense. That's the little I know. Someone referred to the fact that in his book on Fauci, he referred to the what was it called? The 9/11 bombings?
Yes.
Yeah, it was something like that, the 9/11 bombing. So it indicates to us that, especially, with his family history, he's got to be close to these kinds of events. But it would seem that he's very much open to not 9/11, it's just not something he has adopted per se, but I think he's very much on board with that.
Oh, absolutely. Him taking part in the 20th anniversary.
Right.
It was actually just a tape recording.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I hope, do you guys see the JFK thing I have up on my screen?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. Like so many screens I can't see.
What's the user there? I can't tell. Evelyn Truth?
That's one of my side accounts, Evelyn Truth. There's a play on 9/11. What I wanted to share here is this quote that I found. If you could see this, because he uses controlled demolition in his statement here. He's not pulling punches with language as he accuses the political intelligence, media, corporate, pharmaceutical conspirators of executing, quote, the controlled demolition of American constitutional democracy. And I really agree with this person. For a brilliant, highly accomplished lawyer, an excellent writer and speaker, the choice of those words, controlled demolition, is clearly intentional. So I think he's aware of it, but who knows where he's going to go with that. One other thing I wanted to say, and I empathize with both sides, whether you want to be a purist, which I kind of lean towards, but I also understand people that want to use that as a bridge, because I myself have, one example is, there was a freedom rally down in Pittsburgh on my birthday, November 13th, and it was about the mandates. And I went down there with all of my 9/11 stuff. I didn't go down there to want to talk about the mandates at all. I set up all my signs. I had my banners, I had my flyers, I had my stickers, and I walked up to the guy. And I was just standing around the outside holding up my 9/11 stuff. And I didn't know how it would come off. The guy on the speaker, he had a microphone and a speaker, down at the point, and I said, "Excuse me, would you mind if I had a couple minutes to speak about 9/11?" And I didn't know what he was going to say. He said, "I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Yeah, definitely." So I went and told all about the Lawyers Committee, what they're doing with the grand jury and our First Amendment right to try to petition the grand jury for redress of grievances. And I said, "Look, today's my birthday. I'm a veteran. I love my country, and this isn't right." And great response. I wanted to say 90% of the people took my flyers and my stickers, and they were very supportive. So here's an instance where it was a COVID meeting, and I crashed the COVID meeting with 9/11. So it's the exact opposite. But I hear what you're saying. People want to, where it's easy for people that are waking up to that to be able to consider 9/11 a little easier. But I also agree with Al that if you're going to have a 9/11 meeting or have a 9/11 war room to sit there and speak all about that, that I don't see that really that great either. But
and the thing is that and there is no right answer. The thing, both of them can coexist.
Yep.
You know, there's nothing lost if some people are fighting and focusing on 9/11 truth alone and nothing else. That's great. We need that. And if other people are using the current events as something to ride on and, you know, get the message across and connect with people that otherwise they may not have connected with, then all the better. And if both of them do their part, I mean, who loses? Nobody loses. And it doesn't have to be either or. Everybody
this is actually this is a perfect example of where you just got to kind of let the truth movement go where the people individually want to go, because as soon as you try to control it, it's just going to go bad. Al, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that, you know, I'm all for going out to any group, but I see, and we had this problem I mentioned a long time ago about the right and the left divide, and how we made a rule that we left our politics at the door when we had our meetings. But I don't see anybody reaching out to the progressives or the left who are terrified of the, you know, a lot of the COVID movement. And in other words, I think it's an important part of what we do to make inroads on both sides. And that's all I got to say.
Comment? Anyone else? Great. Bruce, did you want to add anything about the event? And I should have asked, tailing off with Diana, about the Florida event you guys had, if you wanted to add anything on that. Thanks for joining, by the way.
Sure. No, it's great to be here. No, other than what Diana said, we try to promote it as, you know, as thoroughly as possible, but only about a handful of people, like about 6 people ended up showing up. You know, did a good presentation. There's a new gentleman who joined us as a student at the Monday meetings that Diana hosts on a monthly basis, and we kind of floated the idea of possibly doing something on a campus. But you know, I was pretty upfront and said, well, it would take an unusually bold and brave student organization, especially, you know, here in Blue South Florida, to be willing to you know, sign off and put their name on something like that. But otherwise, yeah, the only other notable thing was the hit piece that the Miami New Times wrote, which I was actually surprised that they wrote that to kind of, you know, keep it in the public consciousness that there were still questions swirling around. I went ahead and posted it up in the Facebook group. Otherwise, Diana pretty much covered it.
Thank you. You did say something there, and okay. Dave Schlesinger, that was supposed to be on this call, has come up with this idea, physicsdenial.com. Basically, it's just a neutral topic that doesn't outright speak 9/11, that he wants to take. It's a flyer, basically, that he wants to take to college campuses for outreach. And the idea is basically getting your foot in the door with just a physics question, and then for them to figure out, oh, this is about 9/11, and yeah, that the buildings couldn't do that. And David Chandler's looking over it because Dave just wanted to use the third motion, law of motion, and David had corrected him and said you kind of have to include all three when you're talking about it. So they're polishing that up right now. I think it's a great idea to be able to do some outreach on college campuses. What I found, and Sandra can kind of talk to Sandra about it. Basically, I do a lot of activism online, and what I would do is get an email harvesting program, go visit a college and harvest all of the email addresses for the physics department and the engineering departments, and email all of the professors, to which David responded to that. And yeah, it went as well as David said it was gonna go, because the professors are not going to respond to you. The only good response you're going to get typically would be from student unions and student organizations. So trying to figure out how to best do that. And there's something here with his idea of going to college campuses and trying to keep it neutral. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Right, and his idea is, well, again, you know, resonating with the fact that we need to reach out to the younger generation, which doesn't have a horse in the race, because this event did not happen in their own backyards, in their own timelines.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a certain openness and less resistance to hearing about it than someone who's older and is still stuck in the denial. And so his idea was, if we bring it to students that are already more open-minded with a question that doesn't scream 9/11 right off the bat, which basically addresses the issue of physics because it's linked into a site that is calling physics denial, which would intrigue any student. I mean, you know, physics denial, how can you deny physics, right? And so the idea would be to get students to look at it, go to the website, put the two together and realize that it is about 9/11, that the story about 9/11 does not add up, and hopefully from there, build some kind of momentum so that they would address it directly with their teachers and go to the teachers and say, hey, I came across this site and it says here that this is what happened on 9/11, and, you know, can you explain to me how this happened? Do you want to look at it? You know, so just create awareness from that angle.
I think it's an ethical bait and switch.
Well, yeah, but, you know, and that brings us to kind of activism in general, because, you know, we have to start thinking outside of the lines. And what we've done so far in 20 years has gotten us a little bit ahead in terms of awareness, but it hasn't created anything like making that first domino fall. And so we have to think of other tactics and bold tactics, and the kind that will grab the attention. It's not the time to be politically correct about it. It's not the time to worry about doing it the right way, or having it, you know, this is not about red tape and I don't know, we have to start doing things that are different and that are going to have an impact and that are going to be seen and reach a lot of people. And like Jean says, guerrilla tactics. This is kind of where we need to go. And so many people are just happy and content to stay in the realm of discussing ideas or supporting ideas, you know, liking a post on Facebook or even just limiting it at that, and not really doing that much. And the people who do actually do things, like, you know, David has said, David says many times, he goes, if there's 100 truth advocates in the world, he goes, I'd be generous. Because very sorry?
Activists, not advocates. There's a bunch of advocates, but
yeah,
there's
sorry,
very few
activists. Yes, actually hardcore.
Oh, snap.
So yeah, so I think Xiola had her hand up to say something.
Rose, then Ed, then Diana. Or no, wait, hang on. Let me get this right. Xiola. Yes, there we go. You're up.
Hi, guys. Yeah, as far as the universities goes, there was a great base in Alaska. Remember that study a few years back, the 9/11 truth group up there that did that great study in Alaska. So that would be a great university to build a base from. And also Arizona, I think his name was Sean Cohn, was the leader of our 9/11 truth group years ago. It's been so long and I'm so out of touch with everybody due to the breakup, but which we won't mention, but not breakup, you know, like a relationship, but a breakup as far as the truth movement that I was involved in. But there was, I think Sean Cohn was the Arizona University, or was it Utah? I think it was.
Oh, it was Arizona. Yeah, because I remember him. He was real outgoing and would set up truth booths, if you will.
Yeah. So why not build a base from, I mean, you're talking universities and stuff and wanting to get in there before all this liberal, progressive, crazy stuff starts happening, which is already happening. But I mean, if there's a way that we can sort of get a rein on some of this, it would be really good, because it has gone off the rails the last 2 years since I left. It's been hard trying to get back in, and I'm like I told Sandra and Jean, I'm at a loss at what to do, because I mean, half of you tagged in the war room post just the other day. I'm blocked from over half. So it makes it a wee bit awkward for me to try to come back and say, hey, you know, what's going on? Because I did try quite a few times with the other, you know, with the other movement, and that failed in my face 3 times. So leaving it at that, I'm signing out now.
All right. Thank you, Xiola.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ed, you're up.
Oh, thank you. I have a concern with respect to making sure that if you're going to be doing any sort of you know, recruiting, I guess, for lack of a better word, new activists for this whole new generation of activists, we have to have some serious goals in mind with respect to numbers. And what happens when we reach those benchmarks? What are we going to give them to? What do we tell them to do? What actions do we give them to do? What do we? You know, because she just, please forgive, I forgot her name, Rose. I think she said she doesn't know what to do at this point. She said it, and there's because of it's one thing, because what I fear is going to happen is you're going to have some success. You're going to get all these people involved. It's going to be sort of staggered, and it won't be. I'm worried that it won't be cohesive, and it'll just be kind of people floundering, and eventually what will happen is people go apathetic again, and because nobody's going to know what to do. And I think it's very important to identify some goals, identify some things for them to do that is actually going to be that can see some results from, or even if they can't do it, at least give them information so they feel like they're being educated on the matter. And things of that nature, rather than just saying, hey, you know, the third building fell on 9/11, and then there you go, have a good day, and have them, you know, go, good luck with that. So I just want to make that point, because I don't want the same mistakes to happen like what happened in the last generation with, you know, we built up a huge base, but it was good. I mean, we had like freaking a lot of people. We are changing LA, and then just kind of like nobody knew what to do at some point, because no new information was coming out, and everybody got apathetic, and I saw it, and it's like, okay, lesson learned. Okay, now I know what to do next time. So just man, I'll make that point.
So on that note, one of the ideas that I threw Richard Gage, and he's seriously considering, and I mentioned it last call, is a certification process for people that want to be able to not to have a big head about, hey, I know 9/11, I got certified by Richard, but Richard does these webinars everybody knows about. World Trade Center 7, then he does a second one on World Trade 1 or 2, and then he does a third one on the high energy, the heat. And now he's a board member on the lawyers committee. I asked him, you know, would you create a curriculum off of those webinars, make workbooks and make a quiz and make a test that we could get certified in, and then you get the stamp of approval. And again, the reason for that would be that we have a foundational agreement on some foundational evidence because it's too many people go out there and they're spouting the hologram idea and all this other stuff. And it's like, you know, we just need to get the basics down together. So that's on part of the note. And I realize you would want to expand on some of the topics being addressed there. And I respect that. Something that they could know that this is checked, verified information, and I can walk away this and share this with people, and I'm not giving disinformation or misinformation. Two, on top of that, what did you say?
Well, he's talking about giving people the tools and the information and some kind of guideline on how to move forward.
Where would they go from that? Because it remains stagnant.
And also the numbers is important. Understanding that, hey, we have 100,000 activists now, or 10,000 or 5,000, whatever. And it's like, how do we harness that to go the next step?
Part of that.
And let them know ahead of time, if we get this many people involved, this is where we go next, That way they can see a future.
So I'm just a couple ideas, and I'll go to other people here real quick, is one, I really believe getting behind the Lawyers Committee. I really think they're the tip of the spear for 9/11 Truth. I know there's Motley Rice and all those other ones, but the Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry are the only ones that have, we're now at as I said, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. That's where it's at right now. I think that's where the action is. But then we also, and part of the reason for the 9/11 War Room is to give them actual practical activist ideas that they can go out and do on the streets and be able to share information. But then again, hang on, I gotta mute somebody.
But I'm also talking about after the information is shared, you got to do something with it.
Yep.
You got not just share it, but I mean, you actually have to go, where's the accountability now?
Yes.
And that's what people want at the end of the day.
The difficulty
I stopped doing the activism because I've been there, done that for years. Yep. And I'm ready to move on.
The part of the difficulty in that is, like we said, as soon as you get a group, they're not going to be able to control the organization. You gotta trust that these small groups are going to form and that they're going to. And I hear you. In that instance for LA, it fizzled out. But as soon as you try to make a formwork of this is the way it's got to be, you're going to lose people too.
Yeah, you can't dictate them, but the thing is, the idea is to empower them and motivate them to just keep on going. I mean, nobody's telling me what to do. I'm just doing what I can with the tools that I have. And
right. So but how long can you do it? Let me ask you.
Well, that's a good question. That's a really good question.
Good point. You definitely brought up a good point.
Yeah.
Diana, you're up.
Okay. So I think that it's a good idea to have goals out of a meeting like this. Like, for instance, that idea that David Schlesinger, I just heard, has about making some flyers to give out to colleges. That sounds really good. We could make a GoFundMe to pay for the printing. So, people have money that maybe they don't have time to do activism, but they can afford to chip in so that we can get a bunch of flyers. We give it to some people like at universities. I think it's good to have a goal and an actual action item and do it.
Nice. Thank you. Ross?
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'm unmuted already.
Yep.
So, and I have a good connection. Am I sounding like Ross?
Yeah, you are right on. Good to see you, brother.
Right, good to see you and good to hear you. So there's frogs in the background. If you hear any kind of interference, it's okay. But I'm just going to say quickly, in terms of New York City and what we have a responsibility to do as New Yorkers, which is, I think, a special responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to take on the project that the Truth Towers Volunteers is going to put forth, where it's called the Ground Zero Challenge. Basically, we used to have a group, We Are Change, would show up every Saturday down at Ground Zero with all our materials. And that was the most powerful truth movement experiences that I've had over the years that I did that. In terms of how we got people, there were literally people that would fall to their knees crying when they realized that what we were saying was right, and that you know, that the agenda was much broader, bigger than just a bunch of Muslim terrorists, and that's how serious the problems are that we're dealing with. So the word ground zero is really about ground zero, and about being there at that spot is, I think, a very powerful suggestion, which is hard for everybody to do. I think even for Gene and everybody that's been there a lot, to go to the monuments, to go to the mourning spot where you mourn the victims with all your 9/11 truth gear on is something nobody does. I haven't even had the courage to do that. And I have people that I know that have died there that day, and I was there that day. And I haven't had the courage with my 9/11 truth t-shirts and skateboard and everything to be right there at the fountain. And there's a lot of ceremonies that should be done. And it is, I think, the most important thing to do them there at the Ground Zero Monument. And I'm saying New Yorkers, but I think whoever comes into town, and you should come into town, you guys that are in the truth movement, and come down to Ground Zero, come to where it happened, come to where the people are mourning are desecrating the graves of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And don't desecrate the grave. Come and show them that we're there, we're supporting those people. And they want us there. They don't want people there with crocodile tears, basically, crocodile tears, not acknowledging the truth. And I think everybody knows the truth. I think the general public knows the truth. I think you don't need to take a poll, because they're not going to tell you the truth in a poll. What you need to do is get down to Ground Zero, and I will meet you. If you say, I'm coming into New York City this weekend in the summer, it's got to be summer and fall, because wintertime is very difficult anyway. So we've got to make it as simple as possible. So summer and fall, there's a lot of good times, and there's a lot of people down there at the Museum of Lies and at the monuments. And I will meet you there, and I will have all my gear on, and I will have as many people as I can get there with me. And you will have a day around that monument, around the site of the mourning and of the desecration of those victims. And you will demonstrate the truth, which is what they are so, we all are so desperate to just show. And it's
you're
not
saying,
online,
Russ,
it's not, yes, I'm sorry.
You're basically encouraging people to stand up for 9/11 truth directly at Ground Zero, and take a stand right there, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying go to the monument with your t-shirts on, with whatever you have that you want to bring, materials. Now of course, they have very specific rules about what you can do at Ground Zero, because they're ahead of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've been ahead of us since, for 20 years before 9/11 happened.
Well, they can't tell you what to wear.
What's that?
They can't tell you what to wear.
Well, that is right. But I'll tell you one little clue is we can't act like we're a group. You've got to act like you're an individual, because if they say if you're a group
mm-hmm.
promoting a cause or a product or an agenda, you're not allowed to be there.
Oh, wow.
On that note, and Diana may know this, because I went down to protest in DC by myself, and I walked up to the Capitol building and all of the Senate House buildings, and a cop kind of came up to me and he says, "Are you by yourself?" And I said, "Yep." It's a good thing, because if you were a group, you'd not be allowed doing what you're doing. But since you're only one person, have at it. And I was there with my big sign walking everywhere for 9/11.
When was that?
That was 2017.
Because
That's
we
funny,
went
'cause I think
there.
I was asked that question twice if I was with a group when I was there with you, Gene, on 9/11.
We did group things there, as I recall. We did 28 pages. We did a few, and I don't remember that we had to get permission to do it.
Nice. All right.
And we were in New York on the anniversary. No, I mean, the cops were all around us. They made room for us. They didn't give us a hard time.
Well, that was outside of the memorials. If he's talking actually at the memorials. And I do want to say this. there's some, on 9/11, I would not go to the memorials even if I could to protest. That's just even though I consider those 2 toilet bowls in the ground desecrating, like you said, desecrating dishonoring those folks.
Yeah.
On that day, there's a lot of family members down there, and I just wouldn't want to create that atmosphere of contention against the 9/11 Truth Movement
Right.
on that day.
I went
I
down
agree,
there, Ross,
I
and
agree with-
it was quiet.
I
I
do
didn't
agree with
say a
that,
word
but-
and nobody else did.
Well, hang on one second. We got 2 talking. Sean, what did you say?
I went down to the base of the South Tower and not a word was spoken. I didn't hear anybody saying a word. And it was just quiet down there.
Okay. Ross, go ahead. And Al,
Yeah,
Al
so I'm
has-
talking about I agree with you, Gene, that the day of 9/11, they're not even going to let us to that
Right.
spot on that day. But I'm talking about every weekend.
Yeah.
Every, and every day that anybody can be there. I'll join you any day you want to come. You'll have a partner there, which is a big deal because believe me, going there alone,
Mhm.
and all this stuff is kind of like more intimidating than having 2 people. It's just like having 2 towers or 1 tower. You want to be 2 towers. You don't want to be 1 tower. So
Ross,
you
then
wanna
you
be
should
3
you should add your name to the public directory so that people can find you and hook up with you if they are coming to New York.
Oh, definitely, I will. I've been having, I thought I might already be on there because Gene was saying that he has done that. I'm down in Brazil and I have a little bit difficulty where I'm at with good connections right now. I've got one. So
Okay.
I've been, I have to be very judicious with my time
Yes.
on the internet because of that. So the last thing I would say is besides that idea of the ground zero challenge that I'm putting forth to all you guys, just come to New York whenever you want in the summer and the fall and the spring. I won't be there until, if you want me there, I'll be there after May. But there are very many holidays like Labor Day, Memorial Day, that people like to come between after September 11th and before Halloween. There's a lot of people at that Museum of Lies and a lot of eyes on me.
I paid over $150 between travel and tickets. I paid in New York City down at.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Well, I'm just telling you. Just telling you.
Yep. If you can make it to New York, Ross will meet you there.
A better route is what we got to figure for everybody, whoever's coming from what direction.
Well, I'm not saying, let's just mob it all. I'm trying to say that's if you're coming to New York and you want to make that weekend, I will join you. And, we can't be like we're a group. We can, obviously they're going to know we're a group, but we just got to circulate. It's a big enough area that we can circulate. And I guess the last thing I'll just finish with, and you guys can continue on, is I want everybody in this group to ask themselves if they were to wake up tomorrow morning and as a result of whatever, they got their objectives were met with this 9/11 truth. What would that world look like? Think about the future here. Let's not go back into the past and say how many hijackers there were there really hijackers? Let's say if we achieve our goal, what would the world look like at that point? What would the newspapers say at that point? What would it be that would make you wake up on that day, on that morning, and feel like you've been vindicated, like the world is on a better path? And just ask yourself what that world, how that's going to look and what that is.
There'd be a few years of society trying to rebuild itself after the total crash that happens, but yeah.
Everybody would have Bitcoin.
All right.
Everybody would be like a Bitcoin city, like in El Salvador, and we'd all be mining money from a volcano. And
See, now we're talking. I've got the volcano right here. It's right here,
Okay.
literally.
Real quick, I want to go to Al. Al, did you have something relative?
Sorry, really quick, guys. I just real quick. I'm just telling you. I'll tell one thing in a second. I just tried to Google something to look something up regarding the group stuff. I misspelled Google in my search engine. I put Oogle. I dropped the G. And if you go to oogle.com, it's a Declaration of Independence. Just so you know.
Oh,
Oogle.com. So.
thank you. Al, you're up.
Yeah, a couple of things, just to address the last guy. I'd
Ross,
say I'm looking for justice and the perpetrators behind bars, and that would be the most beautiful day of my life.
what's your favorite saying there, Al? There's not a statute of limitation on murder.
Yeah, mass murder, exactly. And following that up, the Lawyers Committee, we desperately need volunteers. Once we get the cover letter and reaching out, not just where we are in Massachusetts, which we're going to send out to every lawyer group or any sympathetic pro bono lawyers that might be available that Mick Harrison can provide us. If he can get names throughout the country, then we're going to need people to do the same thing that we're doing. They need donations, they need money, but that's the place I think all of our efforts should be directed. And it's huge right now. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and I'd hate to see it go by the board.
Wait, but what can we do? What are the efforts that you're?
Well, he's Mick Harrison. I don't know if you listened to one of our previous meetings, but he's writing up a letter, sort of a cover letter, to approach lawyers to do volunteer work or to give donations or give their time to help with they have 7 different lawsuits that they have in the works, and they're going to need a lot of money to go get into the courts. But this is where we really have an opportunity to get judgments, to get people, the 60 exhibits that are out there that they've come up with. If they can prosecute the people involved in 9/11, this is where we've wanted to be for a long time. And it's just Google the Lawyers Committee. I don't know exact whatever the website is, but you can
911lawyers.org.
911lawyers.org. There you go. And
I can give you 3 points on what you can do to help the Lawyers Committee right now. And one, they have the grand jury litigation, which we talked about. It's now at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. You can still get your name on that petition because they're going to send out amendments to the petition, so your name would be on that. And that's available.
URL? What's the URL for that?
911lawyers.org.
Okay.
If you wanted to go straight to the petition to sign it, you go to 911lawyers.org/petition. If you want to see your name, you go to /petitioners. That's one thing. 2, donate, even if it's $1 a month, just something recurring that they could have a constant flow of money.
Oh, I already signed this. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, good. So there's also donating, obviously, because the money thing's hurting. Mick Harrison. I hate that. Mick Harrison.
Every time, at least once a week, you do that.
Mick Harrison. He actually had to take a loan out to be able to continue as the litigation director. He's losing money to do this, but his heart is so into it. He's not giving up. Hats off to him. He's a total gentleman in this. So obviously the donations help. And 3, their film project. So this is more monetary, I guess. Richard Gage has joined the board of directors with Christina Borgerson, which she produced the film TWA 800. And they are now tackling an idea I had a while ago on basically making a movie about the 60 exhibits as presented in front of a grand jury. And they're actually going to make this documentary in such a way that they can present it, so that they can present it to the grand jury as one of the pieces of evidence. So I think I've heard Barbara Honegger and Richard and Mick say this is the greatest idea in 15 years of the 9/11 Truth Movement. It will be, because if you can make it palatable, like Law and Order kind of thing to the public, seeing these 60 exhibits of evidence for the controlled demolition of 1, 2, and 7, that's huge. So most of it's monetary, but also I think signing the petition to help. Sorry,
Yeah,
Alan.
And if don't forget that, we all know lawyers groups. I mean, if we can get in each of our own states, reach out and try to get volunteers. You know, they need more lawyers. Is what,
Yes,
what
that
Yeah,
people-
and adding to what Al is saying, even though the goal is to get either donations or actual help, volunteer help for the Lawyers Committee, at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're bringing awareness to the lawyers community about the fact that there is 9/11 in the courts at all. And I'm thinking a lot of them don't know it, and they might just be intrigued by it. And even if they don't necessarily get involved, if you've at least put it on their radar, I think that that's a really critical thing. And so
Share
nobody
the-
loses anything by helping out.
Share
Yeah,
this
I-
bit of information with everybody, because to make it very relevant with today, January 21st, 2022. If you can remember that date, January 21st, 2022, they're having oral arguments for the grand jury petition. I mean, that's huge. I mean, people say, well, what, 9/11? What's going on with 9/11? They're oral arguments heard to hear for our right to be able to present the 60 exhibits to a grand jury. So that's huge.
I've already sent out to all the lawyers I know through real estate, which is kind of a stretch, but the Lawyers Committee information, you know, and I pleaded with them to at least read it over. And I think we all know, you know, or must know attorneys somewhere, and, you know, you can do that right now.
Yep.
So,
And you can see the URL behind JB's, his background. That's the official URL, lcfor911.org. I've just found, and most of you guys have already heard this a million times, but some of you haven't. When you're a street activist and you're trying to yell that, it's impossible. So it's just easier to yell 911lawyers.org, and it goes right there. So that's please visit that. Rose, you have something to say?
Yeah, as far as that whole thing that, you know, you want to do, that's what we were doing back in the day, 2 years ago, building a solid group with the 50 states, spawned off from the group. And I, after I left, I tried to do it again with the American Freedom Support page. As you know, it really went nowhere. So I've done it twice now. I did it for Face of Truth. I've done it for the American Support page. I can do it again. Third time's a charm, and I could do it for you, Gene. If you want the 50 states, as long as I have.
We have the
you kinda
directory that
need-
does it for itself. The people update their own information, and they can connect with each other however they want to do it.
Yeah, but to have a group where they can actually get together and make plans and do all that, where is that going to happen? I mean,
That's going to happen. That's going to happen organically by themselves, because as soon as you try to make form work for people to follow, just trying to get them to sign up for this is impossible. But,
okay,
yeah.
well, that was
Gene,
my
what was the
point,
website
but
again? It was
solid.
911
I'm not done
something
yet.
.org.
I'm
Hold
not
on,
really
hold on,
done yet.
on.
I'm not done yet.
Go ahead, Rose.
No problem. Let me just go ahead and finish up. So I have some notes here. I have build the solid group, spawn from that, get the workbook done and approved. And once it's done with fact-based evidence that we can all rely on and refer back to, that would be a good foundation for us to work from. The webinars are extremely valuable. Any serious advocate knows this. And these should be greatly revered and used and, you know, shared widely. I mean, if you were to go and pay for this information, try to seek it out and pay for it and take these webinars as, you know, Richard Gage's webinars, it would be expensive to get something like that. He's giving it for free to advocates. And there's just people just sitting on the sidelines going, whoop-de-doo, oh, this is cool, whatever. And like, you know, arguing the technicalities of it and whatever. Whenever it comes around, the last few years, when I see it come around and I share it, I'm extremely excited about it. I put up there, you know, wow, this is like such valuable information. We should all be taking notes, you know, and now with the workbook idea, I'm really excited about that, the chapters and referring back to the chapter recaps and everything. And like Gene does, make support your everyday life. That way we know who the true advocates are. We know you've signed those petitions. We know you're in it to win it. We know you're on board. You don't have to you know, argue or discuss anything. We know where you stand. There is no left or right here. It's the same bird. We know that. So we've got to get on board with that. It's when one of these movements went completely left is when the whole thing went down the drain. I hate to say it, but it really broke my heart. And it's one of the biggest heartbreaks of my life, in fact, and I'll leave it at that. I'm out.
Xiola, I want to add, you had shared a file with me, and I do want to work with you on this. Xiola spent a lot of time helping with Claudio back Face of Truth. They created these packets, activist packets, and I have not gone through it, but this activist packet,
Yeah,
if we can
you're
update
welcome
that.
to any of that. There's some beautiful stuff we were working on. In fact, I have 18 projects that never saw the light of day because they did not pass Claudio's desk. It was almost like he was pulling a Mitch McConnell on me, man. I mean,
So
but I
sent
was
them.
running circles around the guy. I was running circles around him, and he
All
could
right,
not
right,
keep up with me.
Okay,
You know,
let's not
not
go
to
there.
like brag or anything, but shit needs to get done. Shit needs to get done, guys. Okay, muting
So
myself.
you did send me those files. I'm going to look over them, and hopefully we can incorporate them into this this something here. Thank you for that. Ed, you're up.
Okay, can you hold on before we go to Ed, because I see that there's someone who joined the call whose name I also don't recognize, and it says Sin's iPhone, and I'm guessing Sin is short for Cindy, or maybe I'm wrong. I just wanted to say hi and welcome to the call, and I guess just ask you quickly who you were. I don't know if you can hear us.
They may be just one. There we go.
This is Mike in Florida. It's my wife.
Oh, gotcha.
My
All right.
phone disconnected. Sorry about that.
All right, that's all good. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Ed.
Oh, I was just curious, has the lawyers committee done a sort of a mock sort of presentation of the exhibits as if they were going to present it to a grand jury, and done sort of a mock sort of presentation in order to and have an actual counter argument to it?
So that's what the film project is exactly, and that's what they're doing right now. And I would expect that they're going to show some questions, and yeah, I think it would be like a real grand jury presentation would go.
But the film project, I assume, will be a scripted one. And
Yes.
But is that going to? So I wouldn't script it out. I mean, if you're going to do that, you got to bring real lawyers in who actually really know, can counter all those arguments and actually tear it apart, so you can actually know you're actually got a good solid case.
So on that note,
rather than have it because you're just
on that note, Ed, that the way that they're selling this is that you can also be a co-producer in this project. So if you visit the 911lawyers.org website and you get to that film page, it shows how, I guess at some point, and Mick, as I understand, it's going to be sending something out shortly on how we as the public will actually take part in helping form this movie, or actually be clips. They're going to be 20-minute clips, and they're going to do a series of them. So it's going to be a volume, like a reference set. And that's a great idea.
What page is that on? I'm in the page. How do I get there?
Let's go.
Oh, I see. That's right in the middle. Never mind. It says donate to film project. Oh, but yeah, it's right in the front page. Okay.
So the 911lawyers.org, it goes to the Lawyers Committee's website and crime scene to courtroom. Click on that and co-produce this new powerful 9/11 film. So they actually want people to take part in it. And I'm gonna so yeah, just read down through here. They actually want people to take part in it. They want your
You should
ideas.
have a link directly to this information.
They do. I think I made one, 911lawyers.org. So I bought 911lawyers.org just to make it easier as a street activist. I think it's /film I made.
Because that would be good to
Yeah,
put in.
there you go. If you type in 911lawyers.org /film, it goes straight to this page. I make all these little side shortcut links.
Did you just put that in the chat?
Oh, I can, yeah. I made a bunch of them. There's 911lawyers.org /petition, petitioners, donate /
about the film. I want
film. Okay, yeah. Lawyers.org /film. There you go.
you.
So that's a good idea, Ed, and I will definitely bring that up if you aren't part of, where'd Ed go? Ed disappeared. Oh, there he is.
Hey,
I would like to add that in because I think that would be a more compelling if you had some kickback with like somebody, make it difficult, make it like it's a real, and I think that's what they're going to do.
I mean, that's what they did in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. They actually had 2 mock trials and brought in real people to actually serve as jurors. And in one case, they had Kyle testify, and in the other one, they had him not testify. And they determined, based on the reaction from the jury, that it was much better for him to testify.
Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't expect this to be a fluff piece. I hope they make it intense. So yeah, good points. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sandra, do you want to speak on what not to present as an action item?
I don't know, I'm kind of retracting on that now.
All right, we'll come back next week on that one. Ross, you're up. You're muted, Ross.
You want to take down the screen share?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so in terms of this project for the grand jury film, I think, as you said, it should have teeth in it. And I think, an idea we had in the NYC TAP group a few years ago was, why not just have a real trial? See, that's the point of a grand jury. It's the trial by the people. So forget about a movie about a fake trial that's never going to happen with the U.S. government. The grand jury is about the people having a trial.
So hang on there, because what they're going to do with this.
So we should have a real trial that's filmed, but that is considered to be legitimate under human law, under the natural law of the Geneva Conventions, and of the fact that's what the grand juries are founded on, not just some kind of film about some hypothetical trial, about a real trial.
2 things here. One, this film is being made in a way that it will be used and presented to the grand jury. So it's going to be another piece of evidence. And 2, that's the whole thing that they're fighting for at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals right now, is our right to petition by the First Amendment. So
yeah, and I'm saying go around all that and do it by the law, which is that the people have the right to try the truth. Okay, the people
that's why we have a justice system, to use that. You can't do it any other way.
Right. So let's do it.
That's what we're doing.
We're doing. Yeah, I don't know where the breakdown is there, but that's what's happening.
Let's just not make it a hypothetical movie. Let's make it a trial.
Right, that's in process.
Yeah. I don't know how to explain that any better. If somebody could articulate that better for me.
Well, I'm just saying that the movie should be a trial that is considered to be a legitimate trial, not some kind of documentary.
But a movie isn't a legitimate trial. A movie is a movie.
Yeah, the legitimate trial, they're actually doing right. They're fighting to make that legitimate trial.
No, I'm saying make the movie. I'm saying make the movie the legitimate trial, and that's it.
But you can't make a movie a legitimate trial. It's still
it's not there. It's there almost. Well, yeah. I don't know what to say to that one.
I say Tom Cruise.
Yeah, okay, here. If Mick goes and presents these oral arguments, and whoever this judge is that's ruling this says, okay, you're right, you have a First Amendment right, we can't get around that, then the grand jury will actually be impaneled, and this would actually start to happen. But then again, by federal law, you're not allowed to have cameras in the courtroom. That's why Ghislaine Maxwell's trial is not televised. So we couldn't even make a legitimate movie about a legitimate trial. It's almost there. So they're making this to try to drum up support for the lawyers committee to be able to get funds to be able to continue what they're doing. I don't know if that helped.
By the way, I'm just curious, do you happen to know have any idea what the oral argument is going to be with respect to, and here's why I asked, because because you just mentioned it there a second ago, if he's asking the question, do we have a right to petition the government for redress of grievance? The court's going to say yes. But what the judge is going to say is, they're going to say, but the government doesn't have to answer you.
That could very well be. Yep.
And the reason why, because that is the current court case law.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was already, yeah.
Yeah, they could say anything from state secrets.
That was the case I was involved in.
Okay.
Kavanaugh heard it.
Oh. Well, maybe you can give us a brief on that one on the next program. What time is it? What are we getting at here?
We're running on 2 hours exactly.
Yeah,
now.
2 hours. I think. And let's if anybody has anything else to say for this, we can kind of wrap it up here. Anybody have any last comments for everybody?
Yeah, everybody on this call, sign up at the public directory.
Please, because as soon as we get more people, then people can reach out to you. And all I'm asking for is a fictional first name and last name and an email address, and preferably your city and state, if you could do that.
At 911 something.org.
911public.org. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the map doesn't work unless if you're using like a browser like Brave browser, which is why it didn't work for me. You have to make the settings allow your location to be known. So that's why you may want to check new people and see if their map stuff worked, you know.
Thank you for that, Diana. I appreciate that very, very much.
Gene.
Mike, wait, go ahead, Al.
Yeah, on the directory, the registry, can you link in to say you want to talk to somebody directly from the site? I mean, can you do that, or do you have to go?
That's a good idea. Yeah, you should have like a help page. You know, click here to get help. Or whatever.
Well, at the top of the page, it says if you run into any problems, contact Gene. There's my email address and phone number.
But I'm talking about the individuals on the list. In other words, if you wanted to email somebody right from that list. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You can click right on their email.
Their email address, or you mean in that forum?
In that forum, yeah.
Wait a sec. Hang on. Let me share my screen.
You know, having your email be public is a good way to get a lot of spam.
I don't care.
No, I do though. You can make a contact form so that people that sign up automatically goes to contact form.
Now my screen's gonna crash. Come on.
Because some people might be hesitant to sign up because of that. So if you make it so they have a contact form, not a public email. I don't know if you can do that easily.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I could look into it. On my screen. Can you guys see my screen, or is it black?
We're still seeing the crime scene to courtroom.
Okay, good. So we're going to, geez, come on. Public.org. Why is this being so? Geez, oh man. Try this
you
again.
still had an S at, you had a letter tacked on at the end of that.
There it is. Okay. So in here, if you click on somebody, let's see, Al, and you supplied your email address, people can click right on that and it'll open up your local mail account, or you just copy the email and send it to them.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
No, but he's saying, is there a way to do it directly in there, like a messenger type of whatever?
Contact form, which would be better because then they wouldn't have to have the email publicly visible.
I'll see if I can add that on because I respect there's reasons why people might be afraid of sharing. I'll see what I can do.
You get a lot of spam, yeah.
Yeah. I dig it. I've been doing this for 5 years. I've been posting my email address and phone number on Facebook and every social media for years, and I've still to date have yet to get a death threat or.
No, I'm not afraid of that. I'm just saying spam is, makes it harder to get to your mail.
Technically, someone could create an email address just for this purpose. If they're afraid of this, well, not afraid, but if they don't want the spam thing, which is understandable,
actually
just create.
One of the people that joined, actually, the email they had their real email and they submitted another one called their public email address. I forget where their name was, johndoepublic@gmail.com, and I thought that was interesting. As soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, okay, they made a separate email address just for public stuff.
Right.
But Mike Zarzano, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to let everyone know that I just posted our website address in the comments, countycongress.com. I've been researching the grand jury for close to about 20 years. And I was down in St. Petersburg in 2016 advocating for the grand jury to be used. And I think the information on our website might be of great interest to everyone if you want to check it out. Just FYI.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anyone else?
You want to take down your screen share for a second? So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was Mike. He's taken care of. Yep.
I think it's okay if we stop it at 2 hours today.
Yeah,
for a change.
thank you all so much for coming in at the round table. We'll be here again every Sunday at 5 p.m. Feel free to invite anybody. Again, if you can, sign up at 911public.org and have a great week, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Peace.
I got the chat.